Hello, and welcome to another, I should say the penultimate edition of The Second String.
What did you say?
Penultimate.
Penultimate.
It's a second to last one. That's what it means.
Can you use that in a sentence?
This show is the penultimate episode of The Second String.
Language of origin, please.
I don't know, but Latin probably.
Everything's Latin.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Nate, we're back. We're ready. We got some football to talk about. We got some basketball to talk about.
We do have two sports to talk about.
It's football season, kind of.
It's half football season.
Half football season. I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
For Nate Milbach, I'm Alex Fernando. Let's kick it off with the Husker spring game.
Yes, that was on Saturday. It was an interesting thing because both of us were going to be working at it, and then like the week before we found out we weren't.
Yeah, plans change. That happens. I was excited. I got to go simply as a fan and kind of take a step.
First time in a long time.
First time in a very long time. I've been since my freshman year. 3 years now that I hadn't just been there as just a fan. So it was nice to kind of take a step back, just watch the game, take it all in, take in the atmosphere. I know you were at a wedding, so
I managed to catch most of the game. I ducked out with about 3 minutes left in the fourth, so I could beat the traffic out of town.
Gotcha,
I saw all of it.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Or pretty much all that wasn't just third and fourth stringers playing against each other.
Okay, I didn't realize you were there. You weren't sitting with me. Thanks.
No, I wasn't at the game. I was watching on TV,
Gotcha.
but I caught the entire thing.
Okay, gotcha. I was gonna say if you were at the game, don't sit with me. I would be a little insulted.
No, if I was at the game, I'd text you.
Well, let me just tell you from in the stands and in the stadium, that hype video that they played before the tunnel walk. Oh my goodness!
Speaking of the tunnel walk, they had a new song. No, serious.
They did have a new song. They also did not do the team prayer.
Would it be salacious to tell you I knew about this about a month or two ago?
You mentioned it to me once or twice, I think.
I had a decent idea they were probably going to be cutting this stuff out. Or not cutting it out, but replacing it, updating it, seeing what new stuff they could do and what would work. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to bust it because I didn't want to get the person who told me that.
Understandable. Get them in trouble, yeah.
Exactly.
No, I can see why Coach Frost wants to kind of keep the prayer a just football thing. He's a pretty private individual. That's how he likes to run things. It's just kind of a bummer because that was a big tradition.
It's a hype. It's a hype.
It is. It's such a big hype thing for the fans, and it makes them really feel like they're part of this and part of this team. And like
it does.
It's a big part of everything. The culture, the atmosphere.
It was the real way to do it.
Yeah. Actually, what was interesting, I was given a stadium tour earlier today. We walked down the tunnel, and that plaque outside the locker room that had the team prayer on it, it's just blank now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know. I was a little sad about that one. I'm like, even in the tunnel walk, you can't have it. Like,
it happens, man. Stuff updates. Coach Frost, he's been pretty explicit. From what I've heard, his thoughts on the matter are that he wants to update it. He wants to be new. He wants to be 21st century. He thinks.
It has been updated. I mean, it was updated under Riley. That's when we got the plaque with the team prayer. Like, Riley and his staff and their administration, they wanted to put that up there because they knew it was such a big, integral part of our Husker culture and football atmosphere here. So they put it up on the wall and let everybody be a part of it.
I don't know. I heard rumors that they might be abolishing the tunnel walk, like, in its entirety.
Ooh, how's that going to go down with the fans?
I don't know. I don't, because of what happened in the spring game, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been updated. They had to come together, and a lot of people were saying that, that song was symbolic of what what the administration wanted to happen. Mm-hmm. Also,
since it was a spring game, I can see why they would switch it up on the tunnel walk. I don't anticipate not having Sirius at game day comes September 1st.
I would not be shocked if we have a different song come September 1st. Yeah.
Coach Scott Frost, he walked out to Sirius when he was a student here, when he was a quarterback.
But he wants kids don't get excited about the tunnel walk, I think, recruits.
Excuse me? First of all, I give tours to all the recruits. I'm standing on the sidelines with them as the tunnel walk happens. They are hype out of their minds. They are loving every minute of it. Like, don't give me this recruits don't like it crap. No. Everybody gets hyped with the tunnel walk. I feel like I can run through a brick wall after that.
Okay.
I'm just. It is such a big tradition.
I'm just repeating what I've heard.
It is such a big tradition. That's a hard one to break down.
It's a hard one to break.
I know you got to start some new traditions, but stuff like that is Husker football. If you hear Husker football around the nation, you know the tunnel walk.
I mean, maybe we need a different brand of Husker football at this point.
We have Frost. Frost is the brand now.
You know what I mean.
Okay, Nate. Okay, how about we just get to the game? We've been
talked about this for 6 minutes.
Nonsensical football atmosphere stuff.
I mean, it's important. It's fun to talk about, but we should get to the game now.
The game itself, yes. I think I saw what I expected for this. I knew I wasn't going to be overly impressed by anything. A couple players I thought would maybe stand out to me, and a couple did. We'll talk about that. But I knew Scott Frost was not going to give away much of his offense, much of his defense. It wasn't going to be very flashy, keep it pretty simple. They had a couple little trick plays they tried. Didn't work. They just kept it fairly simple for the most of the game, just to get people some reps and get people moving, which I think was good. People are diving way too far into it already. I've seen some articles and it's like calling for this guy to be quarterback or that guy to be starting linebackers and stuff. I'm like, just hold on. We got a whole summer and whole fall camp to go through.
I mean, based on last year, it does us no good to anoint people based on the spring game. That being said, it's hard for people not to have opinions.
Oh, yeah, no,
I have opinions.
Oh, I definitely have
opinions. Which quarterback should be starting, on who looks impressive, on what our linebacker should be.
Yeah, no. I mean, I have those same opinions. I'm just saying, like, you can't solidify these things right now and put them in pen to paper here.
No, obviously not.
You got to just be like, hey, we can maybe some pencil. We can write them in pencil, sure. But just expect a lot of changing around to happen this summer.
Yes.
With a lot of different reps going. And let's jump into it, Nate. Let's just jump into it. What'd you think? Overall idea of it.
Overall idea, it's like what you said. I was honestly pretty impressed with the direction. I was impressed with the play calling. I was impressed with how our schemes looked, both on offense and on defense. I thought we executed a lot of things that I've been hoping Nebraska was be bringing into their offense going forward.
They do need to learn how to line up better.
A little bit, yes.
Too many illegal formations, which is expected, again, with the new offense. I'm just like, at the end of spring practice, though, come on. You don't need that many of those. There was at least 3 or 4.
I thought, based on, if we're just doing this on overall, I'm going to say it in more of a coaching stance. I thought our players looked good. I thought they showed a great deal of improvement. I thought they, for the most part, there's a few exceptions, I thought they looked better in terms of how they ran, in terms of how they tackled, in terms of their effort. I thought they, overall, was a marketed improvement over last year. I just want to repeat that I really like the style of offense that Scott Frost brings. It's probably my favorite offense in football right now, this sort of like spread option type of attack style. I think it will do wonders here, even though a lot of Nebraska purists probably are going to be slightly less enthused, if we win, whatever, but they'll live with it. But it's a lot of quick tosses. It's a lot of snapping. It's a lot of quick reads out of shotgun. It's a lot of motion. It's just one of those things that I think we're, as a program and an offense, I think finally moving into the current is what I feel like. Like this is the system that we should be running right now, and we're running it, and I like that. And I think that a lot of it goes to Troy Walters, our offensive coordinator, who I think, it's hard to anoint him, obviously, based on we haven't seen him in a single game yet, but was very impressed from what I saw from the offense. Even their simple packages. I mean, you never do get a real, quote unquote, real look at the playbook in spring game. Even Mike Riley was like, yeah, we didn't show everything, obviously. We didn't show everything, obviously.
With good reason. I mean,
Saturday.
you don't want to, you're not going to, one, you can't. I
Yes.
mean, that's the big thing is like everybody wants to see all this fancy stuff in spring. You can't.
Yeah.
These kids had 15 practices. There's no way you can cover all that in 15 practices.
No, you cannot.
Especially with a new coaching staff, a new system, there's no way you can learn that. Not at this level. But you're right. I think we're going in the right direction, and I think this game, the scrimmage really proved it.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting a lot better. Everybody's reading the ball better, reading their keys, moving to the ball better, especially on defense. Tackling was much, much better. Much better than the entire last. I would say that tackling in the spring game was better than all of last season.
That's not hard.
It's not hard. No, it's not a hard point to fight, but
It's
I still like. That's not something I should be able to say.
We had a lot better grasp of the strain.
Please don't bring that back.
That's-
Please do not bring that back.
You're lucky you only have me for one more episode. I'd be bringing it up all the time.
Oh no. Well, Nate, is there anyone? Let's start with offense.
Let's start with offense. From what we were discussing earlier in the week and from what we were kind of discussing up until this show, we thought we would go through each of the position groups individually. I think we could say who stands out. Some of the smaller groups we can kind of go person by person. We just get a good look of how each unit.
How are depth charts looking?
Yeah, how our depth charts looking.
Who stood out?
Yeah, so let's go to offense. And do you want to start the most important position?
Start with the QBs. There's three main guys, obviously.
Yes.
Andrew Bunch, Tristan Gebbia, and freshman Adrian Martinez. To me, all look very impressive.
None of them was bad.
None of them was bad. What?
None of them were bad.
Thank you. I'm glad you're going into this career field, Nate.
It's okay. I'm all right.
Oh, man. But no, you're right. I don't think any of them looked very bad. Nobody really stood out. But overall, in certain aspects, each of them stood out. And I highlighted this in my blog post. But Gebbia, clearly the best passer.
A little bit.
I thought he was the most accurate. Read his keys well. Went through his progressions. Put the ball where the receivers can get it, away from the defense. Obviously, his weakness is he's not the most mobile quarterback of the three. For Andrew Bunch, he's kind of in between both of Adrian and Gebbia. I thought, and you got to remember too, Adrian and Gebbia were going against the 2s and 3s on defense.
Yeah.
Bunch was going against the 1s and 2s on defense, so his numbers were a little bit lower and he didn't have as much help. He was with 2s and 3s receivers. Adrian and Gebbia were with 1s and 2s receivers.
Yep.
So you kind of you take it with a grain of salt on this stuff, but I thought Bunch played fairly well with what he was given on offense and defense. But the biggest thing, there was one play in the second quarter, and the White was driving to the south end zone, and they're about the 30, 35-yard line of red. And Bunch is about to get just sacked for probably 7 or 8 yards. Spins around out of it, evades out of the pocket, finds, I think it was either Honus or one of the tight ends for an 8-yard gain. And that ability to move around in the pocket and escape the pressure. And again, quarterbacks, to be sacked in this one, they had the green jerseys on. They just have to tap them. So to avoid that and just his ability to keep his eyes downfield while avoiding that in the pocket, that play really stood out to me because we haven't seen that. We didn't see that at all last season. That's a Tommy Armstrong-esque kind of play.
A little bit, yes.
And he also had a couple really nice throws where he put the ball out in front of the receiver, and the receiver didn't quite get there. The most notable one was there's a pass interference in the end zone in the first half. And the ball was perfect, though. Only the receiver could get it, and that's why Tony Butler had to pull the pass interference on the receiver because he knew he was going to give up a touchdown for
Pretty sure that was Gebbia who underthrew that one.
Was it?
He threw it to Mike Williams and Tony Butler. He underthrew it.
Tony Butler was on the White. There was one pass that I must be mixing it up then, but there was one pass that Bunch had that it was over the top. And only his receiver could have gotten it. He didn't quite get it there. It ended up incomplete. But the way where he put that ball was impressive to me.
Yeah, sure.
And then Adrian Martinez, easily the best runner, 60 total yards rushing, had 3 TDs on the ground, very elusive, very quick, and he's going to be dangerous for sure.
He will be. And I think going into summer, I think he's the clear number one. Martinez is.
Say what?
I said I think Adrian Martinez, he's the clear number one going into summer ball. Obviously, things can change.
That sounds like a hot take to me, Nate.
Is that really a hot take? I feel like that's the medium take currently in Husker Nation.
I mean, yeah, everybody's really hype on him. Yeah, this kid should still be in high school, though. There's still a lot of growing he has to do.
Yes, there is, but
Bunch and Jebby have been through college systems. Bunch played college ball at a community college for a while, then transferred up here. Like
Frost throws his QBs into the fire.
He played
Mackenzie Milton as a freshman at UCF.
Very true. I'm not saying Adrian Martinez can't be the starting quarterback. I'm just saying I think it's still too early to tell, and I think all three of them have a very, very solid shot at winning this job.
I do too. We'll see what his opinion is on redshirting. But though I kind of agree with you that Gebbia was technically the better passer of the three, I don't think he was that much better than Martinez was.
No, not that much better. And actually the numbers, again, kind of take it with a grain of salt. Gebbia finished with 70.6 completion percentage, 12 of 17, 125, and 2 touchdowns. Martinez, he finished with 10 of 13, so 76.9%, 114 yards, and a passing TD. And then he had the running TDs as well.
Yeah.
So, numbers-wise, again, Martinez looks really good. Gebbia looks really good. Bunch, he had 8 of 14, so 57.1%, and 89 yards for the touchdown pass. So, again, you got to see where he was going against the 1s and 2s, Gebbia Martinez going against the 2s and 3s.
Yep.
But I will say, from watching the game again, I thought that when Martinez was in, the receivers had to make the catch more so than he made the throw. And I made that comment a lot last year when we talked about J.T. Barrett. Ohio State's wide receivers always made the catch more so than J.T. Barrett made the throw.
That's fair, I suppose.
In Jebbia's case, he made the throw more so than the receivers made the catch.
I suppose. Gebbia also left 14 points on the board, in my opinion. He had that play where they led to a touchdown later in the drive, but he underthrew one to Mike Williams that they got a pass interference on, but that should have been a TD, and then he threw one straight behind Austin Allen. That should have been a touchdown.
Yeah, there were a couple that were kind of off, but I mean, Martinez had a couple of those. He had a couple high ones or a couple too far outside on the swing passes. And again, it's just growing pains. We have a lot of youth in the QB room. Our oldest QB is Andrew Bunch, and he's a sophomore transfer.
Yep.
So, we do not have a lot of experience in this room. I don't expect anyone to be jumping out very quickly from this.
Yes.
That's something we just got to remember.
Indeed. All right, so moving on from the quarterbacks, let's go to the running backs. I think this is Greg Bell's job to lose. I thought he was very impressive.
I thought Greg Bell was definitely the best back out there. After him, I think it's just kind of a stable between Ozigbo, Jalen Bradley, and Wilbon. You can kind of mix any of them in. They all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. But Greg Bell should definitely be our number one. He ran the hardest. He blocked really well for pass protection, caught good balls out of the backfield.
Yes.
Very shifty.
He was very shifty. I
thought his best was in between the tackles, though.
It was. He knows how to hit the holes. I think there was a GIF going around on social media of his first run that it shows just how well he dances. I think like the right side of the line collapses and he just dances around a bit, finds the hole, gets about 4 or 5 yards, and that's a play that our backs last year just didn't have the opportunity to, or didn't have the ability sort of to make. And outside of Greg Bell, I think it's all a toss-up personally. I think Jalen Bradley is probably the most likely to be.
Jalen Bradley, I think, fits the offense the best.
Yes.
And that would be why he has the leg up in our mind. Ozigbo actually looked decent. I did not think he would fit in with this offense very well.
And I don't think he's going to get too many carries or attempts. But he looks slimmer. He looks trimmer. He looks faster than he did.
And I think Coach Frost, and Coach Frost and his staff will be able to find ways to utilize him effectively.
Yes.
I just don't think he's going to be our feature guy anymore.
No, I mean, obviously he will not be. Like I said, him or Wilbon, I don't think are going to get many, if all, carries, to be honest.
I still think they'll be mixed in because they do possess. They each have different strengths. Wilbon is usually a lot shiftier on the outside, very good in that pass catching game. Zigbo, obviously, a little bit more of a bruiser back, slimmed down, as you said, a little bit quicker, but can find the holes a lot better than some of the other backs that we have.
Yes.
So, again, Greg Bell needs a break, needs a playoff or two. We have capable guys behind him.
Yes.
But definitely still a long way to go with our running back stable.
Exactly. All right, so we are moving on to our receivers. And I think the number one thing that I saw from our receivers that really, really impressed me is the fact that we have a very capable second tier of guys.
We have a lot of youth and a lot of talent in that youth.
We do have a lot of talent.
I wasn't upset that we didn't see Stanley or J.D. Spielman.
I wasn't either. You just leave them out.
No, we know what they can do. We know they're our feature guys. I'm glad we got to see more Tyjon Lindsey, and I was really excited.
He looked good.
Tyjon looked really good. And I know we utilized him a little bit last year, but he's really going to be featured this year with this offense.
Yes.
This is his kind of style of offense.
It is. We saw him struggle a little bit last year because, he's only 5'11", and they're having him running slot routes, but now they're moving him.
Not 5'11". He's like an inch taller than me, dude.
See, he's listed at 5'11".
I played pickup with him. There's no way he's 5'11". He's like an inch or two taller than me, and I'm 5'7". I played pickup with him and hung out. Like, I gave him a tour at campus last summer when he came for NSC. So, no, he's not 5'11".
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I had a class with him. I guess I just never noticed. Everybody shorter than me is just the same height anyway.
Oh, my gosh.
But, yeah.
No, I thought he looked really impressive. And one person I was so happy to see back on the field, Javion McQuitty.
He looked pretty decent.
He looked really good. I think his speed on the outside, but also just his size, that's going to be the biggest factor.
He blocked reasonably well. I thought all of our receivers looked
Mike
nice
Williams blocking on the perimeter. He
looked good.
That's something I wanted to see.
We just have a really nice receiving core. I mean, Mike Williams, McQuitty, Tyjon Lindsey. I mean, those aren't even our first two guys, and
they're all very capable receivers.
Yes.
Strong route runners, great hands. Not going to drop a lot of passes, but also can lock down those defensive backs in their perimeter blocking, which is something that we struggled with a lot last year, and that's why those swing passes, still not my favorite play, but
no.
That's why they didn't work at all last year. This year it looks like they have at least some potential to work.
Yes.
Still wouldn't run them as many times as we did, but
I will not. All I was saying is I think this offense is going to show off Tyjon really, really well, a lot more than it would in Riley's offense. And our second-tier guys like Mike Williams and McQuitty, and, we didn't see J.D., we didn't see Stanley, we didn't see receivers who are probably going to come in and make an impact like Jaron Woodyard. It's not going to be here till the fall.
Yeah, and so there'll be another good mix that we have then.
Yeah.
That'll be big. Again, a lot of youth in this room. I cannot think of another senior other than Stanley.
Keon Williams, but he's not.
Keenan Williams or Reimers maybe?
Reimers and Keon Williams are our other two seniors.
So we don't lose a lot. I mean, Stanley and Reimers are very talented. Reimers just has great height. He has good hands too.
Yeah.
He's going to get some playing time. But again, we have a ton of feature guys coming up. All freshmen, sophomore, young guys.
I mean, JD, sophomore. Javion McQuitty, redshirt freshman.
Tyjon, sophomore. Mike Williams is JUCO. So is he a sophomore?
He's a junior. This will be a junior year this year.
Junior.
Jaron Woodyard, it'll be his junior year coming up this year. So, we'll still have a really stacked receiving crew for the next couple of years.
Oh, definitely.
That's really impressive.
I can only imagine that becoming a more popular room with Coach Frost and his recruiting staff as well.
Hopefully. Now let's move on to the other pass catchers in the offense, the tight ends.
This is something I was extremely excited about. We threw to the tight ends.
We did throw to the tight ends.
We utilized them.
Somehow.
I will say Coach Riley utilized them much more than Bo did, but we actually used the tight ends.
That's strange. I don't know what to say.
this is a weird phenomenon. I haven't seen this in a while.
No, I have not seen it in a while either.
But no, I think Jack Stahl, Austin Allen, and Kurt Rafdal are all going to get some significant playing time this fall. Those were my three.
Yeah, Jack Stoll, Austin Allen, Rafdal. I think they are.
Ingo Hop's got some.
He got a little bit of
got a
playing
little
time, but I
action,
think
too.
he's more like the fourth guy.
Yeah.
But those are the tight ends that I think will feature most in the season. I think Jack Stoll will probably be the starter. I think he has the most speed. He
looked really good. Austin Allen looked really impressive too for a redshirt freshman.
Yep.
Obviously, his great height, but he had some good catches. I think he finished with like 33 yards or something like that, and blocked pretty well on the perimeter. So.
Rafdal, he had that really nice circus catch.
Yes.
Where he managed to get his foot in bounds somehow.
That was a great touchdown catch.
It was a good touchdown catch. It was a good throw by Bunch to deliver it to him.
I think that was the one I was thinking of.
Well,
over the top. Like, again, only Rafdal could catch it. And, again, great body control, too, to get that foot down and turn it into a touchdown for sure.
Indeed. I don't know. I'm just trying to think about how I would utilize the tight ends. And they used them a lot in a decent amount of blocking. They used them a lot. They just threw them on out routes and go routes and wheel routes. Yeah, and I was kind of impressed with that.
A lot of little hitches across the middle, too.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Coach Frost and his offense, especially with the passing game, is a lot of really quick hitting passes. He didn't send again, we only saw a very small portion of this offense in this playbook, but he's not going to send a ton of guys deep and spread the field. It's going to be shorter passes, getting the ball to our playmakers quick and letting them make moves.
Yeah, it is. And I like our receivers, our tight ends are pretty young. I mean, Austin Allen and Rafdal are both redshirt freshmen. I think Jack Stoll, I think he's a senior this year. I think he's a senior or a junior, I know. Maybe he's a sophomore. I'm not sure what his
we haven't used the tight ends in so long. I don't even know who they are.
Who was our tight end last year? Oh, Hoppus. I forgot.
Oh, Hoppus.
I can't believe I already forgot him. Rest in peace with all the other random white guys in Nebraska history.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, you think of all the random white guys in Nebraska history, man. I could say this, I'm white.
Oh, my. That does not just clarify that.
Think about Matt O'Hanlon. You think about Matt O'Hanlon?
Jack Stoll is a sophomore.
Oh, wow. We are pretty young then, tight ends.
Hey, O'Hanlon was a fantastic safety.
I do. No, I appreciate it.
He was one of my favorite safeties.
I know. No, he's part of the 2009 defense. I don't think I don't appreciate him.
Okay, good.
I appreciate pretty much every player that played in that 09 defense.
Oh God, yes. That was our team.
Yes, indeed. Let's stop talking about the 09 defense, even though I could spend an hour just talking about that.
We could spend an hour just on Sue with the 09 defense.
I could. Let's
talk
about the O-line.
I wanted to avoid this.
It needs work still.
Always.
It does. O-line's a position group that, unless you have one of the best ones ever, unless you're like Alabama or Wisconsin, it always needs improvement. And it definitely shows in our case right now. We're thin. We're a little thin on the offensive line this year.
We are thin.
Which is a problem. A little bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping Coach Frost and his staff will hopefully rotate more. That was one of my biggest struggles with Riley and his staff is he did not rotate their offensive line, and it really hurt our guys. And obviously we had a lot of injuries, we had a lot of fatigue, and we just had a lot of inexperienced guys once they went down because they weren't in rotation and they couldn't get any snaps.
Yeah.
We also weren't winning a lot, so they couldn't get in later in the game, but that's a different story.
Exactly. I think we saw improvement in players. Matt Farniok, Brennan Hymas, Tanner Farmer, I thought looked better.
Much better than we typically have seen.
Yeah,
usually we're two of his biggest critics.
Yes.
And it was good to see his improvement. I think moving to center is going to help him a lot.
I think it will too. We played a little bit of Gerald Foster is a player who needs a little bit more improvement over the summer, I feel like.
He was injured for part of the spring, so he
Okay.
did sit out some practices. That may have contributed a little bit to it, but
He was, he wasn't he wasn't the least impressive. They played a little bit of a patchwork game because I think Bo Wilson was not fully ready to go, so they rotated him out with Trent Hickson, who is a guy that I wasn't sure was on the team before Saturday. He was less than
I don't even know that name.
yeah, he was less than impressive in my opinion. But still, the blocking schemes, they still need a little work. A lot of those sacks were due to missed blocking assignments by our players. But overall, I saw improvement across the board for most of our players, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a struggle this year. One, because, like I said, we do not have very much depth on the offensive line. I think Coach Frost, in the next recruiting cycle, we are going to see at least 4 offensive linemen, maybe 5.
I hope so. We've needed to recruit those guys for a long time, and we have not done it.
We have not, and like I said, we're picking up the scheme, and one of the hardest places to pick up a scheme, yeah, okay, maybe not. I know a lot of people think that blocking in some of these 11-man pass heavy schemes honestly isn't too tough. Mostly it's just blitz pickup, honestly, and knowing the right way to react to a defense and how they switch around.
Well, there were a lot of sacks given up, so we still, again...
Like I said, we need to work on it.
A lot of work. Let's see. There was...
Deshaun Neal had 2.
Alex Davis had 3. So, Winemaster, my boy Jake had a sack as well. So, again, needs improvement on the O-line. But speaking of sacks, once we flip over to the black shirts, Nate,
Okay.
what'd you think?
I was actually very impressed, honestly.
I was too, and I kind of expected this. Having been at practice a couple weeks ago, Coach Frost was talking about how the black shirts and the defense were doing. They're kind of ahead of the offense, which is to be expected. The offense is a very complex scheme to learn, and not to say the defense isn't complicated, but it's not as bad as the offense typically, and so they're still obviously learning quite a bit, but the defense has just been able to pick it up a little bit better and just go make plays.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing is we saw that in the spring game. They were making plays. The two, we'll go through position, then I'll jump out to the 2 people who really impressed me.
When we get to those positions.
Yeah, but let's start with the D line up front. You mentioned Deshaun Neal.
Yes. He was very impressive. He's one of those players that I think before the spring, a lot of people were pegging to be like, oh, we have a couple people that need to head off the team because of scholarship limits. He was on the short list for that, in my opinion, and I think for a lot of Nebraska insiders, he was as well. But he has been very impressive. He looks good. He looks quick.
He had some phenomenal swim moves to rip through that offensive line on Saturday.
He did a good job.
I saw a couple, and he just popped right in the backfield and was just absolutely done with the offensive line pretty quickly.
And that's what Nebraska's been missing ever since Randy Gregory. We haven't had a defensive lineman who could really put pressure on a quarterback.
And Gregory was on and off at some games too.
Yeah.
He definitely had his moments, and he had a very talented individual. But you're right. Like, we haven't had that just key rip through the offensive line no matter what pass rusher in quite a while.
Exactly. And I think we actually have a lot of talent up front. Mick Stoltenberg, the Davis twins, I think, looked pretty good. I thought Freedom looked like a market improvement. There were a lot of rumblings that his playing time might be in jeopardy, that people were liking a lot of the other people over him, but I thought he looked pretty decent.
No, I thought Freedom definitely held his own. Again, it's hard to see because they couldn't do too much on the defensive line. You can't fully go after the quarterback. And again, the number one thing with the spring game is don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Just do not hurt anybody, please.
Yeah, Damon Daniels, DeAndre Thomas, I think both looked like solid, competent backup players who are going to evolve in starters in their own right.
Again, a lot of youth all across this team.
Yes.
A lot of youth and a steep learning curve. It's going to be tough, but I think it all bodes well for Nebraska in the future.
It does.
Maybe not immediately this year because, again, we have like the 5th toughest schedule in the nation, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Now let's move on to the linebackers.
I want to talk about the linebackers last. Let's jump to the secondary.
Okay, improvement. Also, still needs some work. It's the other position group that I feel like we still need to keep updating. Also, we are thin at secondary.
To me, the secondary is the offensive line of the offense.
Yes.
Or of the defense. The secondary has a lot of youth, not a lot of experience.
Not a lot of depth.
Not a lot of depth. And it's, like you said, it's really thin, and they don't have a lot of experience. It's going to be tough for them to really keep up with the pace of some of these Big Ten teams.
It will.
Ohio State really scares me. Pace of Michigan, who knows, with Jim Harbaugh. But it's going to be tough for this secondary to keep up. There's definitely playmakers back there. Markel Dismuke, I can never say his name right. I'm just going to go with that. But he looked really good.
Deontay Williams looked nice.
Yes, Deontay Williams back there.
The other
Antonio
Williams.
Reed played pretty well.
Yep.
So we have playmakers back there. Lamar Jackson covered pretty well.
Yeah, I thought he looked like an improvement.
Was a shock. Honestly, to me,
I thought my nemesis in the secondary, Eric Lee. I thought he played pretty decently.
He had 5 total tackles.
Yeah.
Again, really youthful secondary. They're going to need it to hit the learning curve hard.
Yes.
They have probably one of the steepest, I think. And
linebackers?
Linebackers, yeah. This was the position I was most excited to see.
I was curious about this position because unlike the secondary, we have a lot of linebacker depth.
We have a ton of linebackers. And this may be a bit of a hot take, but I don't think it's that hot. I don't think we've had it's early in the spring. I don't think we've had this much depth of linebacker and this much solid linebacker play since like Levante David era. Like
since early Bo Pelini era.
Honestly, 2010, 2011, it's been a while since we've had a good core group of linebackers.
Yes.
And I think we're really building that this year.
I think so too. And we're not really as youthful in the linebacking core as we are in other positions, but I think we have a lot of quality players. Mo Berry was my biggest shock. I thought he looked real good.
Mo Berry's had a fantastic spring. Everything I've seen and heard about him in practice just kind of exemplifies what his performance came out today. He had 8 total tackles. He led the entire red team in tackles, so very strong performance from him.
Yes, it was. I thought he looked good. He was one of the biggest risers, in my opinion, from the spring game in terms of what I thought beforehand and what I've thought afterwards. Will Honas, he didn't exceed expectations, but I wasn't disappointed.
The only thing I can remember about Will Honas is absolutely demolishing Mikhail Wilbon and shoving him 20 feet into the ground.
It was a good one.
Absolutely destroyed him.
Yeah, and I think he's just learning the defensive playbook in the system. He's never played in a 3-4. He's a 4-3 linebacker, middle linebacker, and I think he's just kind of learning a new system, and I think he'll be good come the fall. I think he'll definitely be starting and out there. And if not, I thought Dedrick Young, I thought he took a step up.
Improvement. I was very surprised by that. He actually looked faster for once.
Somehow.
But I didn't know that was possible.
It made me wonder if we had old Marcus back. I wonder how he would look with the Duval program.
Oh my gosh. I just think like Dedrick Young could actually compete with me in a foot race now. that surprises me.
No, I'm with you there. I thought he stepped up, and I thought Honas, I think he'll definitely get there in terms of the playbook. He was very aggressive. He was around the ball a lot. He had good instincts. I just think
Again, just
practice.
You got to practice more, better reading your keys, like following the ball, following the play a little bit better. It just takes time and practice.
It does. Outside linebackers.
The two players that really stood out to me, one's outside, one's middle linebacker. One of them, I have to say it, my boy Jake Weinmaster. For the second straight year, he's led the spring game and led the team in tackles for the second straight spring game.
Yeah, good for him.
He's going to be pushing for some playing time this year.
I don't know.
Maybe not a significant amount, but he's a very solid backup middle linebacker. As a solid 2.
He is.
He's.
Though you have to remember.
I'm trying to put my friendship aside with him, but
I know
how hard he works, and I know that, again, like we said earlier, this depth is what we have with linebacker. He's one of those people in that room that can at least play some minutes and spell guys for a couple series.
He can, but the one thing you got to remember is Luke Gifford is not back yet.
Luke Gifford's still come back from injury.
He said, from what I've heard, I think they interviewed him on the sidelines, or somebody interviewed him, and he said he's looking to come back this summer. I think from his hip injury.
I got class with him tomorrow. I can ask him.
Yeah,
I usually bump into him. So.
But yeah, that's from what I've heard. He'll be coming back in the summer, so who knows? But yeah, I thought Weinmaster.
That just adds more depth.
I thought Weinmaster. I thought he played solid. He's not a bad middle linebacker.
Just you wait and see.
No, I'd be happy if he got playing time. I'd be excited. I just don't know. Like I said, I think we have a little too much depth for him to get playing time.
That's fair. But my other big playmaker for linebacker is one of our outside linebackers, Alex Davis. I thought he had a very impressive spring game.
He went from a player who I was, and not just me, but a lot of Nebraska insiders were saying, we're penciling in like this is the guy. He's going to be the one left out of the equation in terms of scholarship transfer.
Oh no, definitely. Like in his 2-3 years that he's been here, you haven't heard a peep about him.
No.
I mean, he originally came in as a defensive end, and that was how he was recruited. Moved him back to outside, and he's just kind of been floating there. Hasn't done a whole lot. I think he's really working in this system. I think he really understands it. He finished with 4 total tackles. He had 3 sacks and the pick 6. Really, again, he was just keying to the ball really well, reading his keys. That's what you need to do on defense. I thought he played really well.
He did play good. He went from, like I said, that player who was keyed to transfer to one that I don't know if he will. I think he might be impressive and he might be sticking around.
I hope
so.
He
might see some playing time.
He looked good to me.
Breon Dixon, I thought, looked really impressive. Please, Ole Miss, lose your appeal. I want him playing. He's the only outside linebacker that I'm like, okay, this guy is definitely starting if he was allowed to play.
Yeah.
So hopefully
Ward looked pretty good. He had 7 tackles.
He did look pretty decent.
So I will say this is totally separate from offense defense. This looks at the special teams. But there was one thing I can confirm 125% certain from the spring game. You want to know what that is?
What is that?
We need to protect Caleb Lightbourne and Barrett Pickering at all costs. They cannot get hurt because I don't trust any of our other kickers.
The one thing they were doing is they are rotating holders around.
That is true. So I can't blame them too much because having a different holder does change things a little bit. Everybody does it slightly different. But still, like, Farnham missed the PAT.
He did.
The PAT, man.
He did, man.
Even I could make that. And I'm not good.
I could make that, man.
I'm terrible at kicking it. I could at least make a PAT.
I would significantly doubt you could make a PAT.
Hey, I went to a couple kicking camps here. They taught me how.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you went to a kicking camp here.
I went to 2.
That's ridiculous. We're done talking. I'm not friends with you anymore.
Oh my goodness. All I'm saying is they're clearly our best specialists. We need to protect them.
Yeah, exactly. That's important. Obviously, you don't want your kicker or your punter being hurt. Obviously, we didn't see the punting game, obviously. But
how many times are you going to say obviously that sentence?
Obviously, like 4.
All right, then, Nate. Any last little statements on football you're excited about, or anything you want to throw out?
I don't want to wait, man. Can it be fall?
That's accurate. I want it to be fall as well. It needs to be football season. College football needs to be back. We got a whole new hype train here in Nebraska. Yeah, I want to see what happens.
I do too.
There's so many teams around the nation that have a lot of talent coming back, and I want to see it.
I do too. It'll be a fun time. All right, that is it for our coverage of the 2018 spring game.
Football's done for a while, I guess.
There's the NFL draft. We won't be around to cover it, but
no, sadly not. We could. Isn't that this coming weekend?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's got to be this coming weekend or the weekend after.
I don't know. I don't. We will see. But do you want to talk about the other sporting event that is happening?
NBA playoffs. Yes,
All right.
Yes, I do want to talk about it because it's getting crazy. It's getting real crazy, Nate. There was a sweep, and it wasn't who we thought it would be.
The NFL draft is this next weekend.
We'll talk about it next week.
All right, good.
Look at that.
We'll be on last show. We'll talk about who the Chargers picked, how sad I'm going to be.
Oh, my gosh. All right, so next week's coverage for our final show, NFL draft. Get ready for it. For this show still, we got another 15 minutes, and it's all NBA.
It is.
It's basketball time. And just a quick little highlight. Timberwolves are up 32-29 with 8:10 left in the second right now.
And it's an interesting.
We'll see if they can swipe 2 games out of them. We'll see. 34-29. Who score? It's been a crazy few days and few games, Nate, since we last talked about the playoffs. We were only in game 1s and game 2s.
We were after game 1.
Yeah, so we're a couple more games in now. One series is already done. You want to talk about that one?
Sure.
It's done. Let's get it done and over with.
Neither of us picked the team that won.
No, we did not. We were not ready for that at all. But oh my goodness, Anthony, the Brow Davis.
Turns out we did not pick the team correctly, but we did pick correctly that we would pick Davis as our number one option if we had to draft a player to play for our teams.
I just how can you stop him in any way, shape, or
you can't.
Nobody can stop him. And the other thing too is Rondo and Holiday. Where did they come from? I mean,
Holiday has played better since they've switched him off ball, and Rondo actually cares.
Yeah. I mean, those are good descriptions, but still, earlier this season, it's literally Anthony Davis dragging them by the neck to get into the playoffs.
Yes. Can you imagine if they had DMC?
Oh my gosh.
To be honest, without Steph, if they had DMC, I would be kind of curious to see them against the Warriors. Without DMC, I don't think they have nearly enough to beat Golden State, even without Steph. But that would have been such a fun matchup.
Oh, damn Achilles.
But still, they've got a lot of fun players on that team. I like Etuan more, mostly because I just really like stupid role players that I'm I recognize that guy.
Yeah, I don't know how you follow the role players as much.
I don't know. I just if you play enough NBA 2K, you get an appreciation for role players.
Fair enough. Game recognized game.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of.
A little bit. But
no, I just I thought this was a very impressive series, and the Pelicans are going to be an interesting team to watch through the rest of the playoffs because, again, Anthony Davis, he's not going to put up almost 50 every night, but he's definitely going to put up 25 plus. He's going to get 10 boards at least. And if Rondo and Holiday keep playing at the levels they do, your role players, who is it that you mentioned?
Etuan Moore, Nikola Mirotic.
Yeah, Mirotic is always good. Just as long as they just are consistent, New Orleans can at least do some damage and take some games from people.
And they can, and it'll be interesting to see them play Blazers, man. What happened to Dame? It's been a rough month. His son was born. His brother was shot.
Yeah, I mean, crazy personal life going on. That's tough to set aside in a game like this, no matter what you're doing. But I don't want to blame it all on him.
It isn't on him. It really isn't.
He and McCollum did their part like they normally do. He didn't have quite as crazy numbers as he typically could, but I'm going to throw this more at the coach.
and his other teammates and the GM for building the roster this way.
Yeah, no, they
see. So what the Pelicans did a lot is, the Blazers run a lot of pick and roll, and the Pelicans out of the pick and roll hard trap, which is fine. It happens. That it's one of the ways to defend the pick and roll. But the best way to beat the hard trap is to dump it off to the top of the key and exploit the 4-on-3 that occurs from that. But the problem was for the Blazers is they don't have the athletes. Joseph Nurkic, Al-Farouq Aminu, Mo Harkless. Like, those aren't players that can beat a 4-on-3 pick and roll. They don't have the playmaking ability. And so when they stagger Dame, with 2 or 3 people on him, it's hard. It's hard for him to get other people the ball if they can't play make themselves.
Yeah, and that they're not going to be the one to make one of those clutch shots in the end, or even just get you a bucket 7, 8 out of 10 times.
Indeed, and
it's going to be like more 4 to 6 times down the court, and you got to have those shots. You got to have those shots fall.
And then when that's also on the coach and on the GM for assembling and having a poor game plan. It's rough for the Blazers fans, and it's rough for the team in general because they just don't have very much cap room to get out of this next year. Mm-hmm. They're stuck with some bad contracts, and it's hard to see them getting any better.
Sadly for Lillard and McCollum, they could be stuck like this for a little bit longer.
Yep, but good for the Pelicans. Future looks way brighter for them now than it did several months ago.
Oh yeah, once when DeMarcus Cousins went down, everybody's like, Pelicans are gone.
Yeah, Pelicans are gone. AD's definitely leaving in a year. But now it looks a little better.
Again, New Orleans can really build something off of this, and hopefully Cousins is able to come back. Achilles is not an easy one by any means.
No.
So we'll see what that can do, but this is an interesting team to watch, especially even the rest of this playoffs. They could do some damage, Nate. They shocked both of us. Why not do more?
They can. Let's move on to a different series. What series am I interested in covering? How about 76ers Heat, man?
Why you got to do this to me?
Because I like needling you.
Okay, I will say a week ago we were talking about this series, and I'm like, Miami's going to at least do some damage stuff. That was Dwayne Wade's night a week ago. It has not been as much since. They've been close games. He
dropped 20-plus last game.
He dropped 25 last game as well. A little bit of scuffling back and forth with the teams. Tight finish, 106-102. Philadelphia takes it. Sadly, I see this game probably being 1-5. I don't know if Miami can finish it off. I don't even know if Miami can get another game on them, but I think Philadelphia will probably finish off. Embiid looks good.
Embiid looks real good.
He looks really scary with his mask on, and it just makes it worse.
Yes.
What about Utah and OKC?
Utah good. They good.
Utah good. They good.
They good. They good.
Oh, my goodness.
Donovan Mitchell is amazing.
Can he please be Rookie of the Year?
No,
please.
Because Ben Simmons is Rookie of the Year.
Is Ben Simmons really a rookie?
Yes. And unfortunately, because of the way they designate the award, he is a rookie. But
Donovan Mitchell's he and Gobert are just really rocking this team, though. Rubio, too. Rubio last game, he took over. That was the last win was definitely all Rubio.
He had one of those patented Rubio games where he's just like, I'm going to score 30, even though I can barely shoot every other game.
No, he's dangerous when you give him space, and I think he's really finding a way to mesh with this team and finding a way to pick holes in the OKC defense. Playoff P is he had the one game. He's kind of fallen off a little bit since. He hasn't gotten much help from Melo or Russ.
No.
But we'll see if that steps up. Again, Utah's got 2-1 lead now.
2-1 lead. They play tonight at 10.
Okay. Minnesota, they took a game from Houston.
They did. It shows more about the problems with Houston and why they're a pretender more than... I say pretender when they're the second best team in the league, which is such a joke for the NBA's competitiveness. But yeah, it makes me so salty to say that they're a pretender, and I feel like they have no chance to win a title. But after they lost, I'm just like, they have no chance. They're not going to beat Golden State. How can they beat Golden State when they have nights like this?
Very true. I mean, that's a classic Houston Rockets playoff night.
Yeah,
I mean,
they shoot 30%. Trevor Ariza's like 3 for 15. I'm trying to think who their other guards are. Clint Capella doesn't play that well. Trevor Ariza. I'm trying to think. I keep wanting to say Pat Beverly, but he's on the Clippers.
Yeah, he's gone now.
Eric Gordon didn't shoot very well. Eric Gordon shot 3 for 12. It's just one of those nights where you're just like,
Markel Brown.
Yeah, how can
Gerald Green?
Yeah, how can Houston win against Golden State if their role players can't play well?
It's
all credit to the Timberwolves, first playoff win since 2004.
Derrick Rose is like playing like pre-blew out knees plural knees.
Yeah,
Derrick Rose
he had a good game.
So I mean, I don't see obviously the Timberwolves winning this series, but you're right. This definitely throws some chinks in the Rockets' armor. But speaking of chinks in the armor, San Antonio. Have you heard of a young man named Manu Ginobili?
I think Steve Kerr had a really fun quote the other night. He was just like, Manu Ginobili is old because I played with him. I was on the same team as him, and I'm old.
It didn't matter because Manu's like, all right, that's all right.
He's 40. Manu is 40.
I don't think that matters to him.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
He's going to drop whatever amount of points he wants on a team.
Could you imagine playing at that level of basketball at 40?
Oh, goals. Literal goals.
He looked good. They were chanting his name at the end of the game. I was into it. I mean, they're going to lose.
You can't hate Manu.
I can't.
Nobody can.
And it's a good response from the Spurs organization.
Yeah, with Coach Pop's wife passing, that was tough.
It's been a rough day. I think Danny Green had was a thing to say. He was just like, listen, it's been a rough year for us. He's like, he named a couple of players, said that they had loved ones pass away, and then Popovich's wife, and then NBA player Raswell Butler passed away earlier in the year. I think he was in a car accident, and he said a lot of people were friends with him.
Yeah, and then it's the whole Kawhi Leonard deal on top of that. It's been a very stressful year for that organization. So definitely good to get a big win like that, especially at home too.
Yeah, I feel that Golden State's going to beat them in the next game, but it's nice. It's nice to get them one shot to get a win. 21st straight season in the playoffs with a win, which is also an absurd statement. Up next, you want to talk about Bucks Celtics?
Yes. I watched the end of that game last night, or yesterday morning, I guess, afternoon, something. I think it was afternoon. I woke up at noon. So yesterday afternoon, I watched the finish of that game. Milwaukee. They could pull this one out. They're dangerous in this series. Giannis, obviously, is the big playmaker, but Middleton has been playing really well. Thon Maker, he had a huge game. Very defensive, or very good performance on the defensive end.
He's been blocking. Wow.
He's been getting a lot of blocks and just causing a lot of headaches for Boston. Again, Boston, half their team's still in the hospital, so it doesn't matter where. I don't think they're going to come out of the East. If they do, it's primarily Brad Smith and his coaching. But hopefully they can make it out of the first round. I mean, they're a team that's talented enough to. But I think Milwaukee could be too. They're playing at a really high level right now.
They are. They're playing pretty good. It's honestly a toss-up who wins the series, in my opinion. I'm not sure exactly who's going to win. I think I want to take the Bucks, but I won't because Giannis. I want to take the Celtics because Brad Stevens.
Yep.
It's literally it's a toss-up. Yeah, I think it's a flip a coin type of deal.
I would be fine with either.
Yep. Final game. What series that's left you want to talk about for the final one?
Oh,
I'll leave it up to you.
Cleveland. I mean, we know Toronto and Washington. Neither one of them are going to make the championship. They're just kind of in the playoffs because they're there. But Cleveland, they survived. They're 2-2 now.
Yes. LeBron good. The rest of their team bad.
Yeah. Lance Stevenson likes to make LeBron mad.
He does. He got attacked.
He likes to make everybody mad.
LeBron got attacked the other night. You never see that.
No, I heard his comments earlier today, and he's basically like, Yeah, I should have known better. Like, it's kind of like that situation in class. Like, Lance tells a joke and I laugh and I get in trouble. So Lance just doing Lance, and then LeBron gets in trouble for it. You think he like kind of bumped Lance, and Lance like flew back 5 feet to the half court line on a flop, and they teched him up for that. Oh, I love it. But no, that's going to be an interesting series to see if Cleveland even makes it out, which would be weird.
I think they will.
Probably, but I mean, Pacers are dangerous, man.
They are dangerous. You know, looking at all the other series, I think it's all fine. It's all whatever.
Yeah, Warriors.
It's the Warriors.
Well, it's been a good episode, Nate. We got one more of these next week.
It has been.
Coming down to the wire. We still got a lot of NBA playoffs to watch.
We do.
I mean, school's done in a couple weeks here, so we can just sit back, relax, watch the rest of the NBA playoffs.
We can.
I
don't know.
Thank you all for tuning in to the second string here on KRNU2. For Nate Milbach, I'm Alex Fernando, and go Big Red.
Yeah, go Big Red, baby. Have a good one, guys.